Item 7, staff reports, 2018 municipal accommodation tax. So I'll read this out and ask for a mover and a seconder, and I will insert the October, is it at the, we'll have to do that as an amendment, right? Yep, we'll have to do that as an amendment. Okay, so the council directs staff to bring back a bylaw to implement the municipal accommodation tax effective July 2018 at, would you like me to fill in a percentage now? Is that at 4% as determined by council, and further that council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to educate the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax. I have a mover? Councillor Fenlon, seconded by Councillor Bath, and discussion, and I'm asking for a friendly amendment to change the date from July to October. Is there somebody?
Discussion.
I was just asking for a friendly amendment first to change the date to from July to October. Is there somebody willing to suggest that? Councillor Southall, mover and seconder. You're okay with that? All right. So we'll change July to October at 4%. Now I'll open it for discussion. Yes? Oh, okay. Long ago. Yep. Councillor Timpson.
Yeah, I'd like to see us reword that first clause so that it doesn't look like we have made the decision and then the stakeholders' engagement is to tell the stakeholders what we've decided. I think we need to be clear that we're asking the stakeholders for their input, and then we will make a decision. And I think there needs to be some rewording there, or simply that we just take out the first clause and direct staff to hold a stakeholders meeting and something with the and report back to council with the vision of developing a bylaw, and obviously during that time you will be doing that. Yeah, the way it looks, it just looks like we're making the decision and then we're going to tell you what it was, and that's not what we're planning to do.
All right, Treasurer, go ahead.
To you, Mayor Lawrence, I'd like to say that for the stakeholders meeting, I would kind of like to see it be held in May, because by then all the resort owners would be back. If we're not going to be implementing anything until October, possibly, then we could hold it in the beginning of May, and we could bring a report back to council in June, and in June when I bring the report back to council, we could also be bringing in a recommendation on a possible bylaw.
Further discussion? So Councillor Timpson has, I'm not sure if that was a request, that would have to be an amendment, so.
Yeah, I think we could do it by friendly. I think I'd put first that I'd make the first sentence be that we direct staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting. That's the thing we're really talking about, with the end goal or whatever. Brian, we'd be relying on you, I think, for the implementation of a Municipal Accommodations Act. That's how I would say it. We just shift the wording around, shift the clauses around, and a few words here and there. Just
one thing I would say that staff have engaged with stakeholders, representatives through the chamber as they did this report. I'm not, we have been already doing that through the Chamber of Commerce, who represents many of the stakeholders. I just wanted to make that clear. Councillor Bath.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. We're back to the cart before the horse. Who's making the decision, the stakeholders or council? Council's making the decision. We're asking the stakeholders for input, so we make a decision that they like, maybe. But they're not making the decision, so it's important that we tell that council is making the decision.
The council, I'm just looking at the council directs staff to bring back a report on the implementation, or a more detailed report, instead of,
Correct. We could do a more detailed report, and the stakeholders engagement meeting will be to educate them. That's what we're asking, to educate them. We're not asking for them to give us really
Well,
We want to educate them on what it is, what it's all about, and we'll get their input. We're not going to get, it's not going to be their direction, I guess, would be
but we,
correct.
sorry, through you, Mayor Lawrence, we need to know what they will see as being some potential difficulties with it. We don't know. I don't see any point in having an engagement meeting just to tell people what we have decided. You know, I don't know what I mean, people have brought up good points here, which I never would think of, and they're going to have some very good points that I would never have thought of either. So let's really ask them for their input and consider it, not just tell them what we've decided. I don't see this as an education meeting, partly education, but tell us what you think so we can make sure it's a good bylaw.
Further discussion? So I'm not, Councillor Timpson, there's a motion on the table. Have you suggested a friendly amendment to it?
Yes, as I've suggested.
I'm asking you, not if you have.
Yes.
Make it clear what your friendly amendment is, so we can. put it-
Okay, well, I'll give it a try, but I'll need somebody's help in rewording. Okay, that council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to receive input on the municipal accommodations tax, and that would be the first one, and that council directs staff to prepare a detailed report on the implementation of the municipal accommodations tax based on stakeholders' input and further research, something to that effect.
Mr. Clerk, do you have something that you could provide to the mover and seconder as a summation of that? Or?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, based on my understanding of Councillor Timpson's friendly amendment, I would suggest that that the motion could read that Council directs staff to hold a stakeholder engagement meeting to educate and seek input from the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax, and further that Council, giving consideration to the input from the stakeholders engagement meeting, directs staff to bring forward a report and bylaw to implement the MAT.
Yeah, I think that the flavor I'm trying to get is that we're asking you what you think, and then we will decide. We are going to do it, but we just need to know when we're doing it right, and you guys are going to tell us.
Yeah, all I'll ask you is, are you comfortable with Mr. Clerk's amendment?
I like
All right,
that.
so now I will ask the mover and the seconder. Mover. Who do I go to first, Clerk? I go to the mover or the seconder first? The mover. That was Councillor Fenlon. Yeah.
Just the first part of it.
That Council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to educate and seek input from the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax.
We're gonna make a decision on, the decision's gonna be made for us when it comes back to council again. Because they're gonna hold a stakeholders meeting with, all the stakeholders and then make a decision on it. It's not gonna come back to council for a decision on what the stakeholders have said. Staff is gonna do that. To me, I would like to just leave it as,
You don't accept the amendment? And Mr. Clerk, do I go to the seconder on the amendment?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, consensus is required by both the mover and seconder to be able to entertain the friendly amendment.
So right now, the mover has said he's not entertaining the friendly amendment. The seconder, Councillor Bath.
No, council needs to make the decision, and if there's some implementation of some parts of the bylaw that we want input from, then we can get that at a stakeholders meeting, because I'm sure there will be. But council needs to make, the decision we make today is that we're gonna do it. Is that right?
You want it to keep the way it is, but do you want to change July to October?
We did that in the reading, yes, yep.
I missed a whole section of this.
And I did read out 4%. Yep. And when I read the motion, right now the motion that's on the floor is the council, actually, why don't I ask the clerk to tell me what the motion is on the floor?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, the motion on the floor reads that council directs staff to bring back a bylaw to implement the municipal accommodation tax, MAT, effective October 2018 at 4% as determined by council, and further, that council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to educate the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax.
That's on the floor. Councillor Timpson?
Okay, since since my friendly amendment wasn't accepted, I would then suggest clause number 2, we change to educate the stakeholders to educate and receive input from the stakeholders on the Municipal Accommodation Act as applied to Sioux Lookout.
Mr. Clerk,
Basically, we want input from them as to how we do it right.
Got that. Mr. Clerk, can I ask for a re-amendment? Yep, okay. So would you please read out the current friendly amendment?
Certainly. Through you, Mayor Lawrence, that council directs staff to bring back a bylaw to implement the municipal accommodation tax effective October 2018 at 4%. And further, that council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to educate on and seek input from the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax.
Mover, you're fine with that? Seconder?
Wait,
You're fine with that? Very good.
sorry, not quite.
Yeah, I wasn't asking you, I was asking the mover and the seconder.
I know, but he didn't
So
read it as I had suggested. I said,
so now we're going to go back
no,
to a third amendment.
to
Go ahead.
educate the stakeholders and seek input from the stakeholders on the Municipal Accommodation Act as it would apply to Sioux Lookout.
Well, we decide what happens in Sioux Lookout, and we can't decide on what happens anywhere else. I think that's redundant. There's nowhere. I think
But we're not asking them input on the MAT tax. We're asking them input on how it
where
will
the
be
municipality.
implemented here.
I think it's pretty evident. I think that's. But I think it's Sioux Lookout. We don't do other business here. So, further discussion. Okay. Does anybody need the resolution read again? One more time, the resolution as amended.
Certainly, through you, Mayor Lawrence, that council directs staff to bring back a bylaw to implement the municipal accommodation tax effective October 2018 at 4%, and further that council directs staff to hold a stakeholders engagement meeting to educate and seek input from the stakeholders on the municipal accommodation tax.
As moved by Councillor Fenlon and Councillor Bath. And I will ask, call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 2, zoning by, oh, sorry, Councillor Southall, this is the one. Mr. Clerk, would you, thank you. Item 2, zoning bylaw amendment file number A01-2018. The council receives the planning consultant's report dated March 1st, 2018, respecting zoning bylaw amendment file number A01-2018, 26 Front Street, and further that council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 11-18, being a bylaw to amend the municipality of Sioux Lookout comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2311 as amended. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Fenlon. Discussion. This was actually, are we required to lift this one?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes, we're required because Councillor Southall had declared interest.
Thank you. So is there any discussion?
I'm still fully in favor, as I was last time. I'm glad it went so quickly.
Further discussion? Then I will call the vote. We had a mover and a seconder, right? I'm sorry, back here.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes, Councillor Bath and Councillor Fenlon.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. We need to notify Councillor Southall. Thank you. right. Item 3, 2017 Annual Summary Report, Municipal Drinking Water Systems, Hudson and Sioux Lookout. The council receives the 2017 annual report as per Schedule 22 of the Safe Drinking Water Act 2002 under Ontario Regulation 170/03 for the Hudson and Sioux Lookout Urban Municipal Drinking Water Systems on March 21st, 2018. The report prepared by Northern Waterworks Incorporated are presented to Mayor Doug Lawrence, council members, and CAO Ann Mitchell. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Curlew, seconded by Councillor Bath. And
Just for clarification, Andy Jewell is away this week on vacation, so Dan Perron has been nice enough to come for questions.
questions? Yes, so why don't you step up a bit, because there are some. Councillor Bath first, then Councillor Curlew.
I have a couple of questions. Do you want me to do them one at a time?
I only have one.
Okay, I'm going to start with the first one. Dan, in the both reports, we talk about replacing the VR drives, the VF drives, sorry. And I think we talked about that in our budget process a year ago. And I'm just curious if you have any indication of the efficiency of doing that?
Which treatment plant are you talking about, the Sioux Lookout or the Hudson?
Well, I think we did it in both.
Okay, well, you'll notice in there was an emergency replacement of a VFD in the Hudson water treatment plant, and that's what caused the boil water advisory in Hudson. So that one had to be replaced because there's only 2 pumps there, and so it was kind of a stressful thing where we had to get one in. The ones at the water treatment plant in Sioux Lookout, the efficiency wasn't really what we were looking for when we did that, because the water treatment plant here was designed to run with a water tower here, so your fire, everything's in the water tower here. If you were going to run, but if we had an issue with, say, the pipe coming out of the water tower, we had to isolate the water tower. There was no way that we could run the town on pressure, because we just had pumps over there, so you'd have to have someone sitting there turning the second pump on and off, on and off. So now they can be programmed to run on pressure, but we can only run on a certain amount of time on pressure because of the volume of water that we have at the water plant. So in other words, if we're taking too much water out of the water plant, we're going to eventually drain the water plant out. So to run on pressure for the whole town, which is what we do in Hudson and what a lot of municipalities do, you'd have to have a bigger reservoir right at the, maybe adjacent to the water treatment plant, where you could put 3 big pumps in there, and then it would eliminate a lot of different problems. So the efficiency wasn't really what we were looking for with the VFDs. It was more in case of we had to run that way. Water main breaks also. What'll happen is the pumps will just ramp up now. So if we got a water main break we're losing, let's say, 20 liters a second, the pumps will ramp right up to 60 liters a second to keep up with that, as long as the water plant can do it, Just trying to get rid of the power. Yeah. Well,
Councillor Curlew.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lawrence. And Councillor Bath stole my question. Anyway, so my pumps are a lot smaller than the pumps in this instance, but I know that they do go out, and they do go out strangest times. So I wondered, what was the reason for the change of this pump? If it was age or a particular incident. The main one that you changed, you change out 2 of them, but at the water treatment. You just explained what happened in Hudson, so at the water treatment.
The water treatment plant in Sioux Lookout, last year we replaced all 3 pumps with variable frequency drive. And that was in order to be able to run on pressure, like I just explained there. Now, the efficiency was that's what everybody's looking for. But what we found so far, the way that they're being operated right now, because of the distribution system that we have here and different issues that we have in the town, I don't think that efficiency, and we don't really monitor the hydro bills and that kind of stuff to see if there is any efficiency changes with them. The booster pumping station, we installed 2 variable frequency drives as well, so that pressurizes all the way out to the airport, that whole northern section. we replaced those with 2 variable frequency drives. And what we do notice when we're up there operating was before, one pump would run at 100% all the time, and it would keep the pressure at 70 psi. Well, with the variable frequency drives on there now, it's watching the pressure, and it ramps up and down, so it actually does go down to 75%. But as far as any savings that the municipality has on it, that would have to come from the municipal office, that someone would have to monitor the bills, the kilowatt hours coming in.
Councillor Fenlon.
One outage that you had for that pump there, you know, the boil water advisory we had? Yeah. There, it wasn't noticed by somebody. You guys got alarm systems on there.
What happened with that particular one was, it blew the whole drive right inside the panel. And when it did that, it blew the power out of the breaker down at the lake, which is where so the water comes from the pump, or the hydro comes from the pumping station over the tracks and up. So what it did was it blew the power out down below. So it didn't even know that we didn't have power. Nothing new, because all our alarms and everything are set up to say there's a power outage, because the first place to get the power outage is the Hudson pumping station. Well, it had power. So the PLC wasn't being told that there was a power outage, so it didn't really know, it didn't call out. So what I was actually just talking today to a programmer that's in town that's coming to meet with me tomorrow, was that we want to put the power outage up there, so that if the high lift pumps actually ever fail, we would get or if there's no power, we'd get the alarm from up there. Why the high lift pump failures and all the other failures didn't call us out, because everything's backed up, it still isn't clear to us, but that's what it
A low pressure alarm at some point.
yeah, well, but none of the alarms went out at all, so that is an issue that we're looking into, and so we're putting a brand new SCADA system into the licensed, probably saw it in this year's capital, so it's a licensing issue. We found that Hudson has a system that was a bootleg system from the contractor we got, I guess, so we had to get something new. But when we're doing that, we're going to be revamping a lot of the stuff in Hudson there to make sure that everything's going to be, yeah. And the generator too, as well, has been being changed out right now.
The water consumption, is that a little bit high, too high? Higher, yeah.
Yeah, so what happened there was you can see probably from April on how it started going up. We couldn't find any leaks anywhere. In Hudson, generally speaking, they don't come up out of the ground. I don't know if it's all sandier ground or whatever, but everything goes into the ground. So I think it was in late December when we started going there, and we started turning valves. Well, then we started finding that some of the valves were frozen, some of the valves wouldn't close. So we isolated the west side of town, and then we could listen to the valves to hear the water going through them. And we found that it was on that side, and then it was next to the store where the old Wilson house used to be there. It was an abandoned service, and it was broke on there, and it was leaking the water out there. So we found it and fixed it, and now it's dropped right down. There was a lot of other things that were happening because the plant was producing so much water that we were trying to keep up with the water. Which it keeps up with no problem, but the amount of backwashes we were doing and stuff was affecting the distribution field or disbursement field over there and stuff. Oh yeah, and we knew it was happening, so Andrew and I actually started looking at it in the spring when it was happening, and we thought, well, maybe there's an abandoned house that's leaking, or maybe, but half of the stuff over there you can't get into. Nobody's around, or people that own it aren't in town. So we started looking for it back then, and then we thought that maybe it was something to do with tourism, the houseboats, something being used more than normal, because it happened right around when fishing season opened. then it started getting worse and worse until I said to Andrew, well, we gotta get out there and we gotta do something here, right? So we found it, and now it's back to normal numbers, like very low numbers, down to 50 cubic meters, 60 cubic meters a
That's
day.
the last question. When you're flushing the mains, who's responsible for that? Is that, Roy Monitor?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
After, you have a boil water advisory, you're required to flush the mains on both ends of towns, or where?
Yeah, usually.
Usually,
There is some new regulations out now for different types of breaks. So that one there, because it was a pressure break, yeah, that would be our responsibility, but it would be also directed to us by Northwestern Health Unit as to what they would want us to do. Sometimes if it's a pressure loss that wasn't very long, they might just say to us, okay, well, just, we'll flush it out for a couple minutes on both ends, and as long as we get a good chlorine residual, and in Hudson, everywhere in the system, we have a really good chlorine residual there.
Councillor Kalu and then Councillor Bath.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, and thank you. So, I mean, the premise of your report, it states that it's to report on water quality monitoring, adverse water incidents, system expenses, chemical use. And the one that stands out to me that I just wanted you to speak to a little bit more, adverse water incidents. So with the parts of the pipes that have been done over in the past year or so from the municipal side, is the trend of adverse reporting decreasing as a result of those pipes that we've put new hardware in, or do you see that other areas now are coming up more with issues?
I've seen it move around anywhere.
Okay.
We do know one thing that was not the King Street job that was the year before.
Yeah.
We do see that by manipulating certain valves out by the home hardware area, out Home Drive, has better chlorine residual. But there's still an issue with this Queen Street here and the far end that hasn't been resolved. So what we've had to do, because of the adverses that we've had on those streets, we've had to isolate valves and put bleeders on hydrants as a temporary kind of fix, but they're still running now. If we find if we turn them off on Queen Street and we open all the valves up, then we lose the residual there. So we're keeping a good residual, and we've added the chlorine into the tower, only running in the summertime. We're not running it in the winter. But it helps Queen Street here too. There's an issue actually right in this intersection here, whereas we don't really know the trunk main that comes from the water treatment plant goes right straight up the road here to the tower, but it's also hooked into the distribution system all around. Now we're not 100% sure that this intersection right here is hooked into it. So that would mean that Queen Street would have to get their water all the way from the tower and then all the way back up there, which you're getting the water here probably more so from the trunk line. So the chlorine residuals from here to the next block really change a lot. And so I mentioned it to Andrew that I think that there could be, it may not be hooked in like they said it was, because there was some pipes running down the road before. It could be possible. So we're going to do some shutdowns here this spring and determine whether or not it is, so that when they do the model for the distribution system, then they'll know whether or not it is, and maybe we have to, maybe to fix Queen Street on both ends, maybe if this is hooked up, it might help, But the pipes on Queen Street, Queen Prince, are the worst ones in town. So, my experience anyways.
Councillor Bath.
These are easy ones. On the both expense reports, the Hudson and the Sioux, they're done differently. The Hudson one shows what the parts were brought in for. They were brought in for repairs, they're brought in for inventory, they're brought in for whatever, I can't remember all of the listing. The Sioux doesn't do that, it just tells you what you brought in. You brought in an FR drive or whatever, and it lists, everything's listed, but it doesn't show what it was for. We don't know if there's any of it is inventory or if it's being used for emergency repairs. I'm just curious why the one is different than the other.
That I'd have
in 2020, the Ontario Drinking Water Quality is dropping the amount of halocytic acid we can have in the water down to from 8 to 10, no, from 10 to 8, right? To 8, no, from 80 to 60.
It's 80 right now, yeah. And that's brand new. We've only been sampling that since mid last year.
The U.S. is already 60, so we're going to catch
Well,
up. So
now,
what do we do? Like, the question was what are we doing to be prepared for when it drops down?
well, it may not drop down here. The same thing is with the trihalomethanes. My understanding of it in the States is the trihalomethanes are down at 80 at 100, right? So because of the Great Lakes, we're Minnesota, Ontario, colder weather than the rest of the area, it could be possible that nobody could meet that. We have the same problem with, I don't know how the HAAs are in Red Lake, but the THMs were around like ours were here. The issues with reducing THMs, it's very complicated, so there's so many different parameters that the government wants you to reduce. Lead is one of them. So to reduce the lead, you raise your pH up. To reduce your THMs, you would put your pH down. So you got to kind of try and find in the middle where maybe one might not, you might not get low enough results by doing that, but by raising it up, the other one's going to go the opposite way. So it is a tightrope on there. What we have been finding is that in some of our plants, for some parameters, we're finding that the addition of aluminum sulfate in Sulikout here, for instance, we use aluminum sulfate in Hudson. We use polyaluminum chloride for a coagulant for the water treatment. So each of those chemicals, one of them could cause the lead to go down drastically, where the other one could bring it up. The THMs on all the municipalities that we've found, the THMs are a little bit higher on all the plants that run the stern pack. So we are looking at testing the stern pack in Sulikout at some point to be able to see. We'd have to do a whole month run up with it to see if it makes a difference. Now, with membrane filtration, you don't actually have to use coagulant, but in Sulikout we do because of all the color that's in the water. So it's we have been discussing it. We have been discussing doing a trial run, but it's just in discussions right now. I mean, that doesn't really answer your question on what we were prepared to do. Now, if you look at Hudson, basically the same kind of water we got in Hudson and Sulikout, the raw water coming in, but the HAAs are way lower in Hudson. So, so that's, we're looking at it, but it is actually a new thing that, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we didn't go down like the States.
No, we have to. That's points the 60 milligrams we have to go there.
Well, if the Ontario government says we have to, yeah.
Well, they'd already set the date of 2020.
I know they had said it about the THMs before, but it's probably, they're going to look at everybody's results on there. The whole province. So if the whole province can't get their HAA down far enough, then they may have it. And the number that they're giving you there is probably a pretty low amount in the water. The HAA. You know what I mean? Like it could be that it's a number that they're not really too concerned about at this time. I don't think they know enough about them. So when we had the THM problem in Sulikout, we did a study with the MOE for about 2 years where we sampled all over the place. We found out where our highest THMs were, and they were at the airport. I thought they would have been out at the M&R because of the bigger line and the longer holding time on the water. But that wasn't the case. It was at the airport. So we've been testing there and trying different things to bring the numbers down. So we're down below the 100, whereas before we were above the 100, mostly because of the
Okay, further, any other questions, council? I would just say, good discussion, and it is, for council, delivering good quality water to the residents is a core responsibility of the municipality, and there's quite, the responsibility on council is quite onerous. The report that comes, this is our one chance to review and ask questions and have confidence in the system. It can be awkward for council because councillors aren't all civil engineers or water treatment experts, so it's, but I think there was good engagement, and from the quality of the water I see, and I drink every day from the tap, and from this report, I think we can have confidence that we have a good system.
If you guys ever want to come by and have a look around at the
I was in Slate Falls for their water treatment plant opening about 2 weeks ago, and it is a membrane plant, but it's makes ours look ancient. They have all the membranes are horizontal and pipes that are about 10 inches diameter, and there's cartridges inside, and the ease of which they can change the cartridges and the cost. I'm not sure. Probably you've seen those, have you?
the system that we have in the water treatment plant for the reject water is
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how they're going to keep it running up there. That's going to be their menace for sure, is find somebody to keep it going. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, motion's on the floor. I'll call the vote on receiving the annual report. All in favor? Carried. Item 4, Town Beach Waterfront Development. The council accept this report as information, and further, the council directs staff to ensure that the contamination issue has been dealt with before construction on the waterfront project proceeds. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Fenelon. Discussion. Councillor Southall.
Is this in any way going to jeopardize our funding?
What we've done is we sent cursory feelers out to both funders, federal and HFC, and it looks positive that we can get extensions, so we're feeling confident at this point. Yes.
Any rough time frame?
Well, we spoke, Jody and I spoke with the group on Monday, and they are going to bring to the the April 5th meeting these possible solutions. So our hope is that it'll be completed with this solution in the next couple of months, so that we could move forward in the fall, putting out our RFP and tenders.
And April 5th is the date of the public meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
the public meeting will be 2 sessions, 1 to 3 and 5 to 7, to make sure that everybody can make themselves available. All the different stakeholders will be there at the public meeting: CN, MOECC, municipality, and the health unit as well. April 5th, yeah. And Kuwait and ASCII will be there as well with the design. So they're actually, what they're trying to do, and I don't know if they'll get it done, is to incorporate the actual design of the new waterfront with the system that's going to correct the issue. So.
Councillor Timpson.
I just wanted it to be passed by council tonight, but we've got everything organized, the communication department's ready to go.
Oh, you going back to the previous? Oh, where? Oh, sorry. I think it's poly something hydrocarbons. I can't quite remember the. Yeah. Polychlorinated hydrocarbons, perhaps. Anyway.
Brian, do you know what that stands for? Do you remember that part?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes. So when they say there were no consistent detectable concentrations of PHCs, this is what we're talking about, this on the sheen, the visible sheen that was showed up on the shore. That's what that's referring to, as opposed to the plume that's beneath the surface.
And I think one of the biggest problems that we keep being told, that the plume is stable. That's what we're being told. The plume is stable. The biggest concern is the groundwater flowing through the plant, and that's what's causing the issue.
Further questions, council?
Joyce said she had two, and that was only one.
No, I think that was two. Yeah, that was two. Yep. All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Item 5, appointment of deputy mayor. The council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 18-18, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 94-14, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy mayor for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout. And further, the council approves Councillor John Bath to be appointed as deputy mayor April 1st, 2018 to November 30th, 2018, as recommended by Mayor Lawrence. And prior to asking for a mover, I'll say I lifted this because following issuing of the agenda, Deputy Mayor Councillor Curlew let me know that she was available to carry on. And I spoke to both Councillor Curlew and Councillor Bath, and I'm going to ask for an amendment once the motion is on the floor, that Deputy Mayor April 1st to 4 months. You figure it out, Mr. Clerk. The first 4 months be the Deputy Mayor Curlew's term as Deputy Mayor be extended for 4 months, and then Councillor Bath would do the final 4 months of the council term. So you can work backwards and amend those. Sorry, it would be May 1, June 1, July 1. Is that correct? Or maybe it goes to, and then August 1, Councillor Bath would start? August, September, October, November, yeah. So August 1, Councillor Bath would start. Councillor Curlew's deputy mayor status would be extended until July 31st. So I wouldn't...
The only concern I just want to raise administratively is we really need a lot of times to sign documents and stuff, so we do need you to be, whoever it is available.
And I spoke to Councillor Curlew about that, and very much available. So I'll have to, Mr. Clerk, how do I proceed? I'll have to read the motion as it stands, and once there's a mover and seconder, ask for that friendly amendment. So, have I read the I've read the motion. May I have a mover? Councillor Timpson, a seconder, Councillor Curlew. And I'm asking for the friendly amendment. Mr. Clerk, go ahead.
So the first part of the resolution remains unchanged. With respect to how the bylaw is written, we will administratively take care of that before we send it for signature based on the change that's approved in the resolution this evening. So that council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 18-18, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 94-14, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy mayor for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout. And further, the council approves extending Councillor Curlew's appointment as deputy mayor through July 31st, 2018, and appoints Councillor Bath for a period August 1st through November 30th, 2018.
May I have a mover, please? Councillor Fenelon, seconded by Councillor Curlew. Discussion? Councillor Timpson.
Yeah, the role of deputy mayor is actually one of the more interesting and enjoyable things in council. I personally have really enjoyed going to events. I think this would be an opportunity for us to take the 8 months we have and divide it equally among the council members that are interested in participating in this. I think that the public needs to see us more out there, and this would be an opportunity to do that.
So this is where I have the discretionary authority and where I don't. I'm not sure my understanding. The first time there was the mayor's discretion to set up how he chose to do it, how the mayor chose to do it, but it does have to come to council. Mr. Clerk, can you help?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, typically, and I guess this would be convention, the mayor has the office of mayor has had considerable influence and say in determining who deputy mayors will be. But you're correct that ultimately this is a decision that's done by bylaw, and so council has to approve the bylaw.
So there's a motion on the floor, and Councillor Timpson, if you wanted a friendly amendment to request one, you'd have to put that to the mover and seconder.
Yes, I would like to suggest that
I'm not interested.
8 months be divided among those interested.
So I'll ask the mover and the seconder if they're, okay. Okay. And,
Sorry, through you, Mayor Lawrence, the mover was Councillor Timpson, the seconder was Councillor Curlew.
oh, okay, sorry. Oh, so Councillor Timpson is asking for a friendly amendment. For herself, okay, so Councillor Curlew, so the mover is in favor of the friendly amendment, obviously. Councillor Curlew, are you?
Okay, so thank you, Mayor Lawrence. So what my reasoning as well for making sure that this is something that is considered is that as a municipality, we have been engaged in Diverse Voice for Change, which is all about increasing women's participation in local government. And we're making a show of that as it's a valuable part in our democracy to make sure that we increase women's involvement in decision making. And the fact that our mayor gratefully has done a wonderful job so far, and it would be good to have, as the deputy mayor, if we have that option, to have a female as first round, and if that female is unavailable, then the next male that's available could participate in that. So that's really where
Are you in favor of the friendly amendment or not?
I am in favor of having a female.
No,
be
not
in that role.
what Councillor Timpson is saying, she wants the time divided amongst all who are interested.
Yes, and that's fine by me.
So we need, this is almost a brand-new amendment, right? Where does the discretion of the mayor come into play here, Quirk?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, a friendly amendment has been entertained. It has the support of the mover and seconder. So one of two things can happen at this point. We can proceed to just vote on the resolution that was amended first, and technically that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be amending a friendly amendment. We've already amended the motion once. We should vote on it.
Wait, and which amendment? Sorry,
The first amendment was to split the time between Councillor Curlew and Councillor Bath. That motion should probably be voted on first. And if it's defeated, then council can come back and consider a new motion.
All right, thank you. I'll put that motion to a vote. Could you please read the motion just for clarity? Thank you.
The council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 18-18, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 9414, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy mayor for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout. And further, the council approves extending Councillor Curlew's appointment as deputy mayor through July 31st, 2018, and appoints Councillor Bath as deputy mayor for the period August 1st through November 30th, 2018.
All in favor? Carried. Bylaws. That ends the items requiring separate discussion. The following bylaws be introduced, read a first, second, and third time, and considered for passing by council. Bylaw number 11-18, being a bylaw to amend the municipality of Sioux Lookout comprehensive zoning bylaw number 23-11 as amended. Bylaw number 15-18, being a bylaw to permanently close, declare surplus, and authorize the sale of a highway of the municipality of Sioux Lookout. And bylaw number 18-18, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 94-18, being a bylaw to appoint deputy mayor. That bylaws numbers 11-18, 15-18, 18-18 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Mover? Councillor Fanlon, seconded by Councillor Southall. All in favor? Carried. Comments from, sorry? No, go ahead. Comments from members of council, mayor's report. Members of council and Mayor Lawrence to provide updates. Members of council, Councillor Southall.
Very little to report. Just one comment. Council as a whole got a letter from regarding a chicken problem, and apparently there was no communication among council, at least 3, if not more, all attended the site, all talked to the people, and find out after that there's been conversations with everyone. And I think that if somebody was addressing the situation, we should inform all of council so that we're not all going after the same thing and all getting.
And I apologize partly for the confusion because I was responding and it wasn't clear to me that all council was. There's a technical glitch on my part. I was at home using a device and I couldn't get the all council thing to come in, but I wasn't sure who was communicating or not. So I apologize.
And you too, Cal, because I was off and it was dealt with when I was away. But
Councillor Beth.
I can comment on that. I didn't get one.
Yeah, no, and I apologize. I think Councillor Timpson seemed to be in the first, and I copied her because she seemed to be engaged. And it's all on me for not copying all of council. I apologize.
And one thing that will happen at the April meeting of council, there is going to be a report coming forward. The acting CAO made sure that happened.
It wasn't an intent to exclude. It was fumbling.
I wasn't. I'm just saying that
It was.
If we were addressing it, it would have been nice, and then we wouldn't have 3 or 4 people all wasting their time. Not wasting their time, but all going out to attend.
And I don't want to discuss the matter that you raised at this time, but I will say that I haven't had any response back from the initial.
I'm more in process than the outcome.
Good. Thanks. Councillor Timpson?
Fairly busy month with council. Started off with the teleconference with the FCM International CSAL, and I probably will be going back to Colombia in August on a women's leadership initiative, and so that should be very interesting. Involved with the poverty reduction strategy, a couple of meetings there, and they are moving forward quite nicely and are really engaging very well in the community capacity building aspect of that. And we will be likely offering services or providing services or helping organizations provide services within the next couple of months. I volunteered at the ski loppet as a, what do they call it, sweeper, whatever.
The local ski.
Yeah. Because I'm always last, they figured that would be my best place, just to tag along behind. And that was actually quite a lot of fun. The Environment Committee meeting, we discussed new people to recognize publicly for their contribution to environmental protection. We have a very interesting initiative planned for October, Waste Reduction Week. We are going to be encouraging reduction of use of plastic in the municipality, and particularly plastic straws. And there's quite a few of us who are going to be visiting businesses and promoting the reduction of reduced plastic waste as much as possible. I noticed that Giant Tiger is now charging for plastic bags, and in addition to that, they are giving you a rebate if you bring your own. So, Sue, I attended the Black History Month closing event, which was quite interesting. Interesting woman, originally from Nigeria. Yeah, it was very interesting. Recount of a story of an immigrant's journey. I attended the Research Review Committee at the hospital, which is a committee I'm a part of, in which we essentially were the ethics committee for research for the hospital, and it's always a very interesting. It only meets once or twice a year, so I haven't had the chance to report much on it. I do have here copies for those who are interested on the research summary of the types of research that have been done in the past few years, which they gave me and suggested I offer these to council, so if anyone is interested. I was the MC at the International Women's Day, which which had about 30, 40 women to come, and it was to celebrate women's accomplishments in Sioux Lookout, and had some very interesting speakers. One TRC meeting, however, we unfortunately didn't have quorum, so we couldn't have a proper meeting. And I've been fairly involved in the Diverse Voices for Change planning for the Women's Symposium, which is to be on Monday at March 26th. And I think everybody should know this is just not for women to attend. It's about women, but men would be more than welcome to come, and there will be a number of speakers, women from the community on various issues, accomplished women. So please consider coming on Monday. And that's pretty well it for me this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bass.
Yeah, two things. Beginning of February, middle of February, I guess I attended a senior strategy meeting. That's probably going to be one of the last ones until they do the final report. And it was mostly just brushing up where they are to date. It's gone now back to the consultants and going to a chiefs meeting, I think in May. It was originally earlier, I think it's been delayed to May now. Just put some comments from the chiefs into it. On a weekend, I went to Dryden to see my grandchildren at the Dryden pool. And we need a pool. There's no doubt. You see the activity there and 400 screaming kids in an area with no acoustics. I don't need to go to the pool again, but there we go. You could certainly see the value of it when you're there, and there's just hundreds of kids there. So we attended the recent daycare meeting, and the biggest thing that came out of it again was, certainly there's lots of stuff going on with daycare. The biggest thing is still that there's no staff. The ECEs are possible. We pay higher than anybody else pretty well in the area. I think Kelly said it's $29 an hour. Does that sound right, Ann? It's a lot. And the interesting thing is, a lot of these ECEs train right here in Conn College, and we don't get any out of it. So I pushed a little bit after that when I went to my next comments, or when I went to the Chamber of Commerce. I talked to them about it. Is that we're lacking regional and community recruitment. There's so many things happening that there's just nobody coming here. There's some reason. The recruitment is doctors. The hospitals are doing recruitment. But there's no recruitment for all the outside things. Daycare is advertising every day for people. The hospital, I think, has 18 openings right now. Slifna has, I don't know how many openings, pages of openings. And so there's something wrong with the recruitment process we're doing. I know the hospitals are doing theirs, but there's something missing. So I brought that up at that chamber, and I also brought it up at PACE. And we're going to try to set something up regionally. Hopefully we'll start to move a little bit in that. Mayor Lawrence and I attended the ceremony of the handing over of the license for Otadiziwin Management for Resource Management Corp. Now that's what you'll recall. I've been talking about this for 2 years, I think. We were originally going to be a partner in the group, and because of Brian, we weren't able to be a partner because he found the loophole that cut us off. Anyway, that wasn't Brian's fault. Sorry, Brian. It was a pretty interesting meeting. So the partners in Otadiziwin are Black Sewell First Nation, Slate Falls First Nation, Domtar, Weyerhaeuser, and all of the independent loggers in the area. And it's a partnership. And Jack Harrison, the chief forester from Domtar, is the president of it. So all of it was a historic moment. It's the first one, the first ESFL in Ontario. So the government's pretty keen on seeing this go. They've got a bunch more that are lined up to go. They've had some of them that have been going on for years and could never get them to go. But this one worked because it had good cooperation. The partners worked together. And we were looked at as a partner, all the time when we were there. We were always looked at as a partner. In fact, I still get invited to go to their planning meetings, even though we're not supposed to. And as part of the ceremony, they awarded a nice picture to the partners, and everybody got to choose one. So we got to choose one.
There were six, and the Laxal Commission, Don Ning wants to do six different paintings for this ceremony on was just on this Monday, right? Monday, yeah. The Deputy Minister of M&R was there, and various other notables and whatever. It was a very, very good ceremony, and when they acknowledged the municipality and how that we had been so cooperative, and I first deferred to Councillor Bath, and Councillor Fenelon has been part of this process too. I think Councillor Bath has probably attended every meeting, and he was acknowledged. And so when the painting, I said, Councillor Bath, which one? And he chose the one that Chief Crane from Slate Falls had already chosen. So this was the second choice. And I'll leave it with the Councillor Bath to maybe work with administration on where it can be displayed or what would happen to it.
The acting mayor, you get the picture.
I think both Councillors Fenelon and Bath did a great job of representing us on that whole, and this ESF, this Enhanced Sustainable Forest License, I finally got it right. I kept on saying enhanced. It is the first in Ontario, and it speaks to the kind of partnerships that are happening in this neck of the woods. So,
what makes it enhanced is the fact that it's bringing in the municipalities and everybody around. The old ones, it used to be a company that worked the forest. When Buchanan worked the forest or Dom Tyre works the forest, that was an SFL. And then once it became an enhanced SFL, then they brought in more people and anybody who's a stakeholder really. And that's what this is. Like I say, this is the very first one in Ontario.
the value that they noted, like the economic activity locally, John, was it $4 to $6 million?
Yeah, I would say $6 to $8 million.
Okay, yeah.
It's not 20-year, so the 20-year license doesn't mean you can have it for 20 years. If you kind of screw it up, you might be wasted out. But if you keep doing your job, it's 20 years before you taking it away.
So it's a very meaningful economic activity for our area.
Well, finally, I went to Pace yesterday, and Pace was actually very good. I always complained about the fact that we're getting no loans coming this way. They're all hanging around in the Dryden area. But actually, we have one in Sioux Lookout, small one that was awarded, and we had two in Pickle Lake. One is a go, and one is pending. So out of 5 loans, that's not bad. 2 are down in Dryden, and one was for the pet shelter, and one I can't remember the other ones for. But the fact that Pickle Lake got a couple and we got one, that's certainly a change from what used to happen before. And part of that's to do with the new community development officer. She's very, very active and contacting people and very open. They have a list of every day there's somebody coming in to talk to them about the PACE program. It was good. That's all.
Thank you. Just keep it short. Thank you.
I tell you, I go down to Dryden every Saturday to swim because it's a 25-yard pool. I never, ever fail. It never fails that there's not Sioux Lookout people down there using that pool. They always say, when are we getting a pool in Sioux Lookout? I pay 30 cents a liter less for gas there, or diesel. I never come, I usually spend $200 every time I go down there because it's just too tempting not to shop at the stores, to go to a different restaurant. I mean, I totally agree. If we want, and we talk in relation to getting staff and keeping staff, a pool will attract the people we want to attract here.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
No, I don't have to do the converted.
We need to put a pool on the agenda so we can have a fulsome discussion. Councillor Fenelon. Thank you. Councillor Curlew.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lawrence. I've sent it to you as well, so you'll have a record of it. Okay. So I won't really go over everything except to acknowledge that February, the closing Black History Month, and I was very grateful for the participation. Mayor Lawrence came and gave recognition and shared his story, which was very, very positive. And also that our speaker was able to come from Thunder Bay to share a little bit of her journey, and that was also very, very positive. Following that, we had the OGRA conference in Toronto, which I attended, and it was very busy. Session chair for Small Town Forum and Rural Multimodal Network Design, which was a very great session, as it really connected with what's happening here with the handy transit and the transportation system that Hub Transit, my apologies, Hub Transit, I stand corrected, that Councillor Bath is promoting, and it speaks so much volume to where our government is going in terms of not looking at a one-size-fit-all model. The transit systems in the big cities, metros, and all that is based on their needs, but recognizing that in smaller communities, under 10,000, how unique their need is, and that local-driven approach is key to securing that transportation is available to meet that need. And so that was very good. Then I also had the opportunity to connect with and introduce a speaker of Vote Savvy, which spotlight youth engagement in democracy. Vote Mob is the rave, so to speak, using viral media to connect youth and plug them into the democratic process. So that was really a great session to be a part of. And then also chairing Building Effective Rural Transportation Option. This is very interesting. It pertains to issues that looks at how municipalities can build the environment when you think about bikes and bike laneways, and how the future of building the street to accommodate multiple users. That was a very, very good presentation as well, and we had quite a few different presenters for that. And also had the opportunity to chair leveraging your municipal association, which looked at municipal associations, particularly northwestern Ontario, and also on the rest of Ontario, and what they're doing and the value of them and how they help unite voices, particularly for smaller regions, and making sure that our local governments have opportunities to gain insights on services and also have their issues championed in one unified voice at the provincial level. And then that brings me to March, where I participated in multiple teleconferences in preparation for the Laval, Quebec FCM board meeting, which took place the 5th to the 9th. And there as well, very involved in chairing Social Economic Development Committee and looking at the government's response to social housing, and making sure that we hold the government accountable to the needs of multiple different types of housing options. And also chairing the election readiness group, co-chairing that. That's a very big issue, as we're in 2 elections year, provincial and municipal, and then also an ensuing federal election that's coming up, and what that means for Sioux Lookout, what that means for the rest of Canada. Just to articulate even more, FCM is looking at a election levy, and they need to raise $750,000 over the next 2 years to be able to better meet the need as a stakeholder with the government. There's more demands on the organizations internally and externally, and there hasn't been enough resources coming in to meet that. And so one of the major topics that we discuss is looking at promoting this election levy, which would be based on the base rate that's currently now plus your population. And so for under 10,000, that would bring us to an election levy that would be between $200 to $300 a year extra over the next 2 years to help bringing that funds to meet the new need of getting ready for 2019 federal election. And so that will be, more discussion will be coming on that, and I would bring that to council again over the next council meeting so that we can prepare for that. I'm very grateful to the Sioux Lookout Bulletin. I was remiss the last time, so I'm very, very clear to acknowledge that you have covered tremendously the Afro-Caribbean Black History Month events, Diverse Voice for Change community engagement session, and the promotion for Women's Symposium, which will be taking place on Monday. So I'm greatly appreciative of the work that we're doing and how you have acknowledged that and made sure it's out there in the public for people to see what's going on. So thank you very much. Regrets and meetings this month, Board of Health, which is happening on Friday, and Constitution Review meeting, which I'm also a part of for Board of Health. I have not been able to be there, but I've been able to be on the phone to contribute. Poverty Reduction Strategy meeting happened while I was away for FCM. And this March, Arts, Culture, and Heritage meeting happened while I was flying back from FCM, so I was not able to attend that. So that being said, the only other issue is coming up in June, ending of May to the beginning of June will be FCM's annual conference in Halifax, and it's really a great opportunity for the Atlantic region to have the rest of Canada come and as delegates and see the scenery, but also do the business of electing a new board, officers and directors for the following year. And I just wanted to express my interest to run again for the next year. However, I'm interested in running as there's a new seat will be available for Ontario, which is once every 6 years. That year is coming up this year for third vice president, and within that 4-year time period, that third vice president will then become the president of FCM in 4 years. So I'm just putting it out there to council to let you know that I'm interested in looking at that. And that being said, there is a time frame for submission of consent form and your position by May 17th. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm interested in that, and by the next council meeting I can speak to you a little bit more. It doesn't change my existing involvement in terms of our financial commitment as a council. It just changes my workload in terms of when I'm there, attending more meetings and preparing for them in advance. The difference would be in the 4th year when you're the president, that you're moving probably about 160 days. You're away all across Canada doing the municipal, federal business. And so that is where I have been for the past little while. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Curlew. I've attended the usual meetings, some of which were acknowledged tonight, the usual KDSB and KDMA meetings. The Slave Falls Water Treatment Plant attended on behalf of the municipality to support their grand opening up there. They were very pleased. Minister Philpott was there and a few other dignitaries, but it was a good event. And then the ESFL announcement for the Lac Seul group on Monday this week. And tomorrow I'm going to go to Thunder Bay and attend what I think is a very significant announcement for the Watay Power Group in Thunder Bay, which has very positive implications for Sioux Lookout. And with that, I will. We do have to move into closed session, don't we? to discuss matters of a general nature as noted below. Subject matter relating to personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees per municipal act. Ratification of resolutions, passing of resolutions. So I go back to the closed session one. The council approves amending Schedule A to bylaw number 11-15 by being a bylaw to make appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees by adding Alexander Short to the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee. Mover, Councillor Southall, seconded by Councillor Fenelon. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 1618, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Sioux-Lacoutte, March 21st regular council meeting. We read a first, second, third time and passed. Mover, Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Southall. All in favor? Carried. May I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Forbes? No? Not here. Councillor Lew, seconded by Councillor Fenelon. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.